Welcome back, reading Mark chapter 14. I'll just go back. 14:26. Kai hupner antes, and having sung a hymn, exelthon, they went out, Astor, Oroston Elion, to the Mount of Olives. You might not think this is important, but with Mark, what we always see is a new location, a location stamp or a time stamp at the beginning of an incident. This is odd because it actually winds up the last incident. So singing a hymn actually belongs to the Last Supper, the end of the Last Supper. And we've never seen this before, that the last incident, and then they went to so-and-so. The location so-and-so is always given at the beginning of the episode. What it means, perhaps not important. But anyway, we're on the Mount of Olives now. Kai legeautois ho Jesus, and Jesus says to them, hoti, pantes scandalestes este. You plural, you will all be caused to stumble. It's very Hebraic, this word scandal. You'll all be caused to stumble, or they translate it here, you will all fall away. I'm not going to argue with that. Hotigigraptai, because it is written, pataxo ton poimena, I shall strike, patasso, I shall strike the shepherd, kai ta probata, dias scorpis thersontai, and the sheep will be scattered. I shall strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. This is very clearly Zechariah. It's this verse. It's a little bit different, as we often find when the New Testament quotes prophets and so on. Here the sword features highly from fire. Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, against the man who stands next to me. So it's actually that misses a word. It's actually Gever, against Gever, the great man, my neighbour, Amit. The person standing next to me is there, but Gever is excluded from this English translation. Says the Lord of hosts. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will be scattered. Here it's imperative, or from the little Hebrew I understand, which is none really. I do all grammar in Hebrew by inference from the English translation. But we've got a lexical word, smite, that will be shepherd, and scatter, son, the flock. And come on, I will return, or turn my hand against, turn my hand upon the little ones. Yeah, it's we've got some key words here in the Greek from fire, poimen, the same word, shepherds, but here shepherds are plural. Sword, I will be aroused against my shepherds. Please stop that. Sorry about that. Sword, be aroused against my shepherds. And against the man, politern, is something like citizen, my citizen, but neighbour, I guess. The Lord Almighty says, and here it's imperative, it's you plural, I'm not sure who he is addressing, strike the shepherds, and expao, something like convulse apart, shake apart the sheep, same word as we're getting here, the flock. And then it's I, apaxo, and I will turn my hand upon the shepherds there. So it's not the little ones in the Greek, it's on the shepherds. This tells you nothing except that the Septuagint is kind of flaky, or perhaps the scripture was a lot more less defined in the time before the destruction of the Second Temple. Yes, but it's clearly referring to this. I think Zechariah is really central to the Jerusalem narrative. Oh yes, and we've got sword. This is definitely about a shepherd being struck with a sword, and we have this tradition. It will come through here and elsewhere with Jesus dying by the sword. Also, John dies by the sword, or at a palace called Romphion or something. And James also. Sorry, I'll just. But yeah, clearly this reference, but it's been changed. I will strike the shepherd, not strike the shepherd, and the sheep will be scattered. But mostly the same words, poimen and propeta. Allah meta to egerethenai. Again, we've seen this quite a lot recently, but only recently. To with an infinitive to make it a noun. But after my being raised up, proaxo, I will go before you into Galilee. But after my being raised up, I will go before you into Galilee. Yeah, people should be more puzzled by this. Suddenly we are back to Galilee. I've often said that there's really no relation between the Galilee narrative and this Jerusalem narrative. But here Galilee is Jesus' destination. Hode Petros eferatoi, and Peter said to him, Ei kai pantes scandalis theosontai, al uk ego. Even if, I think, yes, even although, yeah, kai something like that. Even though they all are made to stumble, but not I. Kai legeatoi hoiesus, and Jesus says to him, Amen legosoi, verily I say to you, hotisu semeron taute te nocti, that you, today, on this night, prin dis alectora phonesai. Crikey, I'm not sure what air is. Oh, okay, it goes with prin, does it? Prin air. Okay, prin is before, normally followed by an infinitive. I've never seen prin air, but the sense is clear. Before crows the cock twice, dis, tris me apar say, 3 times you will deny me. It's actually subjunctive, but yeah. Before the cock crows twice, you will deny me 3 times. Mark is the only one who has this cock crowing twice. This is a key word in early Christianity, to confess and to deny. In the history of Christianity and its relation to the surrounding politics, it's quite a big deal, and those are paired terms. You'll deny me 3 times. Hode ek perisos alale, but he was saying, exceedingly or emphatically. Again, we've got different words of using this almost exactly the same word. Eandeime sun apathanein soy, if it's necessary for me to die with you, u me se aparnesomai, I will not deny you. That looks like Yeah, future indicative. That's odd. I wonder what that mare is doing there. That looks like future indicative. I will not deny you. Maybe it's for emphasis, this mare. Okay, but even if I must die with you, I will not deny you. Hos autos de kai pantes elegon. And thusly, exactly the same way, they all were saying. They all said the same thing. Okay, so this promise on the Mount of Olives that they will not deny Jesus. And then we get a different location. Kai ekontai eis korion hu to onoma Gethsemane. I mean, it seems to me that Gethsemane and the Mount of Olives ought to be in the same place. But, yeah, and they come to the place of which, that's Hosauha, of which the name is Gethsemane. And it means something like an olive oil press. Get is a press. There we go. Get, and oil. Shaman, something like that. An oil press. Kai lege tois mathetais autu, and he says to his disciples, Kathisater hoder, sit here, heos proseux somai, whilst I pray. Sit here whilst I pray. In Gethsemane. Paralambané, he takes, I'm not sure what the force of but takes at his side, I guess. Paralambané ton Petron, Kaiokobon, Kaioanen, with Metautu, Peter and James and John with him, Kai Erixator, and he began ekthambasthai. This word often means to be amazed, but here to be distressed. Kai ademonain. This is an odd word, and something I really haven't seen anywhere else. It's not ademos, as we have seen previously with a man going abroad, but it certainly looks like that. It's very odd. Ademoneo, be distressed, and it only really exists being copied from here. Matthew, as so often, will copy the exact same word for the same scene. Perhaps reasonably, if it's happening that way, if Matthew is copying from Mark, that's a natural thing to do, especially if you're not sure why a word was chosen. It does exist elsewhere. Yeah, to be puzzled by. I'd never seen it before. Anyway, yes. And all of these strong emotions, they reflect the strength of the emotion, but the quality of the emotion, what feeling it is exactly, often changes. Normally this is astonishment in Mark, which isn't what happens here. He began to be greatly distressed and troubled. I think perhaps to do with beating of breast. If somebody's visibly agitated, visibly very upset. Kai lege autois, and he says to them, Perilupos estin heb psuker mu. Perilupos, this is feminine to agree with psuker, but the compound adjectives often go two, they always look masculine. Neuter. Perilupos, sorrowful. My soul is sorrowful, heosthanatu, unto death. Mainate hode kai gregorate, this word which we had in the last chapter. Be watchful, be wakeful. Yes, remain here and be wakeful. Yes, okay. Kai proelthon mikron epipten epites gers. And having gone forward a little bit, he fell on the ground. Kai Prosuxetor, prosuxetor, yes, and he was praying. Hina, edunaton, that if possible, estin it is, parelthe, apautu hera, the hour might go past him, might pass him by. Yes, we've had this word quite a lot, it works very well. That if it is possible, this hour might pass him by. Kai elegen, and he was saying, Abba ho pater, Abba Father, panta dunata soi, all things are possible to you, par enenke, to poterion tuto apemu. Again, we're getting this cup, but again, I'm not sure of the force of para. This is Pharaoh. Take away, I would use apenenke, but yeah, it's para. Okay, remove this cup from me, take this cup away from me. Al u te ego thelo, alatis ti su, but not what I want, but what you want. Tisu, ala tisu. Ala u te thelo, ala u te ego thelo, ala tisu. And some people would say that this is the only prayer that Christians or believers have any business praying. And there may, I think I see that tradition in Essenes or Qumran and Didaker, but I may be imagining. But yes, it's clear there is another tradition of prayer, which is all to do with asking things, which we particularly see in Luke. It's a very big thing for him, but that appears to be there in Galilee and Mark. So, okay, ga erketai, and he comes ka heuriske autois kathiodontas, and he finds them sleeping. Kai lege toi Petroi, and he says to Peter, Simon kathiudes, Simon, are you sleeping? Yes, question. That's a question mark. I don't think I've ever shown you that. It's semicolons is a Greek question mark. Simon, are you sleeping? Uk iskusas mian horan gregoresai. Not dunamai, but yes. Did you not have the strength, or just could you not stay awake or stay vigilant for 1 hour? Gregorate, second time he instructs him, Gregorate kai prosukesthe, stay awake and pray, hina me elthete eis perasmon, that you might not come, you plural, into temptation, or perhaps into trial, into trying situation, or yeah, temptation. I would keep that word. Yeah, but it's unclear. Let's just say, lead us not into temptation. Watch and pray in order that you might not come into temptation. Tomen pneuma prothumon hedesarx asthenes. Here we go. Here's a good case of men de. On the one hand, on the other hand, but it's weaker than that. It's less flashy in Greek. The spirit is willing, prothumos, eager. Hedesarx asthenes, but the flesh is weak. Kai palin apelthon prosuxetor ton auton logon apon, and again going away he prayed the same prayer, I guess, saying, okay, apon, saying the same words or the same saying. Kai palin elthon hurenautus kathiodontas, and coming back he found them sleeping. Erson gar auton hoiaphthalmoi katabarunomenoi. For their eyes were, this is Barus heavy, yes, weighing down, kata down, so yes, weighing down, yeah, we know that feeling. Kai uk eidesan te apokrithosin autoi, and they did not know what to answer him. And they didn't know what they should answer him. Yes, so sleeping the second time. Kai ekate totriton kai lege autois, and he comes the third time and he says to them, Kathiu dete toloipon kai anapau seste. That could be a question mark, or it could just be a command. Sleep the rest of the time and take your rest. If it's a question, it's rhetorical, but yeah. Are you still sleeping and taking your rest? Toloipon the rest of the time. Oh, still, okay. Adverb. Yeah. Continue. Sleeping the rest of the night. Apeke. I think that's Latin sufficit. It's enough. Elthen her hora. The hour has come. The hour has come. Idu paradidotai hoquios to anthropu. Behold, the Son of Man is handed over, delivered or betrayed, estas keras ton hamartolon, into the hands of sinners, which is one of the way it was put in 8, 9, 10, I think. Betrayed. But this word always featured, and this word sometimes, it's the hands of men. I think sinners once. So the Son of Man is handed over into the hands of sinners. Ege rest there, agomen. Arise, let's go. Idu ho paradidus me eninken. Behold, my betrayer, the one who betrays me. Eninken, this is perfect, from Engus, near Engisdo, yes, has drawn close, or so with the perfect tense, is at hand or has arrived, perhaps. For my betrayer is here. Clauthus etiautu laluntos, and immediately, while he was still speaking, paraginetai, Judas I think comes, appears by his side. Haste tone dodeca, one of the 12. Kai metautu oklos, and with him a crowd. Meta makairon, kai xulon, with swords and staves. Para tone archieron. Right, we're saying this means from the chief priests. I think that's probably right. Kai tone grammateon, and the scribes. Kai tone presbyteron, and the elders. And again, we've had these coupled in Jesus' predictions many times, the chief priests, the scribes and the elders. It's interesting to see that oklos is here. The crowd is a big feature of this gospel. One would think they're not the same people who yesterday were listening hedeos with pleasure to his remarks and had such a role in this story. But I guess they could be the crowd. Yes, Judas and the crowd. And here we had Romfire in the quotation from Zechariah. Makaira. Yes, different word. Different word, but also sword. This word means wood, of course. So I translated it stave, maybe a club, but I think probably there might be a fulfillment of something. I suspect there's an association with sword and with wood, which is why they're in there. Dedokade. Oh, again, is that perfect or pluperfect? Pluperfect. From, yes, okay. Dedokade ho paradidos. Auton susermon autois legon. The betrayer had given sorry, I can't translate that betrayer because it is a verb. The guy betraying him, the man betraying him, had given to them a sign. This is sermeon, but with sun at the beginning. So something like a signal, a shared sign, a signal, something that a group of people know is a signal. So his betrayer had given them a signal saying, Hon an phileso autos estin, the one whom I kiss, he's the man. Normally kiss in greeting. It's a greeting of respect. He whom I kiss is he. Krater sater auton, something like seize him. Kai apagater as follows, and take him away securely. Under guard they have, not a bad translation. And take him away securely. Yes, you might think that these people would not need Jesus to be identified they don't need Judas to identify him. They probably really don't need Judas to give a location, although that is what the Gospel says here. That's what Mark says here. A good opportunity. They're looking for a kairos. But it is clearly symbolic that Jesus is betrayed by Judas. Elthon, euthus proselthon autoi lege. And when he came, having come, and immediately having come to him, he says, and he came up to him and said, Rabbi, kai kataphiles auton, and he kissed him. Hoi de epibalan taskeras autoi, and this is Ballo, they laid hands on him, kai ekrater san auton, and they seized him. Haste de tis. Normally you don't see tis with haste, but okay. A certain of those who are standing there, or one certain guy, tone parestekoton, of those standing by, stasamenos, ten makairan, spao, to draw a sword. Yeah, draw a sword. Okay, not a word I've seen a lot, but having drawn his sword, epaisen tondulon, he struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his ear. Struck Pio, epaisen tondulon of the high priest, kai aphelen, aphireo, to cut off, autu to otarion, his ear. And all three synoptic writers use a different word for ear here. May not be important. Mark definitely likes these neuters diminutives that end in rion, like coration and thagatrion. Yeah. Significance of this, I do not know. I do not know. One of those standing by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. Okay. Kai apokrithes ho Jesus epenautois, and Jesus in reply said to them, Hos epi leisten excel thate. Have you come out as against a thief? or bandit, metamachairon kaixulon, with swords and staves, sulabain me, to capture me together. Kathermeran, every day, amen, proshumas, I was with you, entoi hieroi, in the temple, didaskon, teaching, kai uk ekratesate me, and you did not seize me. Alla hina plerothosin hygraphi, but in order that the scriptures might be fulfilled. It's the first time we've seen this. We do see gegraptai a lot in the second half of Mark, host gegraptai, but we've never seen graphi as scriptures, I don't think. Okay, three times in Mark. 12, yes, always, yeah. Have you not read the scripture? Stone the builders rejected. It's always in the Jerusalem part. Yes, and he's disputing. Yeah, but let the scriptures be fulfilled. I'm not sure which scripture, that he couldn't be arrested in the temple, but he was arrested in secret. That appears to be what's implied. I'm not sure what scripture that would refer to. It didn't appear to be there in the Zechariah we looked at. Caiaphentes auton, and leaving him, ephugon pantes, they all fled. And here we go, this mark and detail that no one else has. Kai neoniskostis, and a certain young man, neoniskos, some people make a lot of this. There is a neoniskos later in the disputed post-resurrection. Neonias is a good word for young man, but Mark hasn't seen the need to use a word for young man just yet. So people speculate, what that could mean. Kai neoniskostis, and a certain young man, sune koluthe autoi, was following him. Periblemenos sindona. Okay, this is from peribalo, to throw something around you. So just wearing a linen cloth, a sindona, presumably a wraparound, epigumnu, on his naked body, kai kratusin out on, and they seize him. Hodekatalipon ten sindona gumnos effugen, and he, having left behind the linen cloth, fled naked. And you can make of that what you will, and lots of people make all kinds of things about it. Was this some kind of initiation, secret initiation ceremony that was going on? Is it to do with the soul and the body, perhaps? Some people think this is a signature of Mark, that he's kind of leaving his signature. He's like those oriental carpets where the weavers put themselves into it. I don't know. It's a puzzle. Kai apegagon ton soon, and they took away Jesus pros ton archiera to the high priest. Kai soneracontai pantes hoi archieres kai hoi presbyteroi kai hoi grammates. Again, this triple, this triad, and all the high priests and the elders and the scribes come together. So we sometimes call this the Sanhedrin. Kai Petros apomacrothen ekoluthersen autoi, and Peter followed him from afar. Heos eso ace ten aulen. As far as inside into the courtyard, I think, right into the courtyard to Archeros of the high priest. Kai en sun kathemenos meta ton huperiton, and he was sitting together with the helpers or guards, why not? Servants, guards. Kai thermaimenos prostophos. That's an odd detail. And he was warming himself at the fire. I always think of phos as light, but apparently it can mean fire. Yes, okay. Warming himself at the fire in the courtyard. Hoide archeres kai holon to Sanhedrion ezertun. And the high priests and the whole Sanhedrin, which as I said is a Greek word, sun together and hedra to do with seats, sitting together. And the whole Sanhedrin were seeking katatu Yesu marturian eis to thanatosai auton. Were seeking, I think, witness against Jesus for the purpose of his being put to death. Eis to makes this infinitive into a noun. For the purpose of him being put to death. Gau curiskon. And they could not find, or they were not finding one. Poloigar, for many, pseudomarturun, martureo witness, and pseudo falsely. For many were giving false witness katautu against him. Kai isai hai marturii uk ersan. And the witness testimonies, not witnesses, but the witness statements, I think, were not isai. Normally means equal or the same, but here in agreement clearly is the meaning. I think you'll find this is an issue of Jewish law, that witnesses have to agree, or at least two witnesses have to agree, something like that. So many bore false witness against him, but their testimonies did not agree. Kaitines anastantes, and some, having stood up, pseudomarturun katautu legontes, were giving false witness against him, saying, hoti, that, Hermes erkusamen autu, we heard him, legontos, saying, that, ego kataluso ton naon tuton, I will tear down, luo, release, or unconstruct something, and kata downwards, so destroy. I will destroy or tear down ton naon tuton, this temple. Ton keira poieton, keira hand, poiet made by hands. Kai diatrion hemeron, and after 3 days, alon akeira poieton oikodomeso, I will build another one, alon akeira poieton, not made by hands. Now then, we didn't hear Jesus say this, but it does sound very much like something he would say. And in Mark 13, we did see this word, not one stone. We actually use kata. Not one stone will not be thrown down off another. And this after 3 days is also very Jesus. So, yeah. Kai udehutos, and not even thus, iser en hematoria auton, was their witness testimony in agreement. So presumably various people heard him say something like this, but the witnesses don't agree completely. Kai Anastas, and having stood up, I think, Archaeus, the high priest, Ace Meson, having stood up into the centre of the room, perhaps, Eperotersen ton Yesun Legon, questioned Jesus, saying, Uk apokrine uden, do you not answer anything? Have you no answer? Ti hutoi su katamatarusin. Why do these witness against you? Why do these people witness against you? Or perhaps ti could be why, or it could be what. What is it these men testify against you? Ho, Jesus, Hode, Esiopa, he was silent. Ke uk apekrinator uden, and he answered nothing. Palin ho archaeus eperota, and again the high priest questioned him, kai legeatois, and says to him, Su e ho Christos ho quiu tu eulogetu. Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One? Who I interpret to mean God, not David, but maybe I should check that. The Son of the Blessed One. Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One? Hodiesus apen, and Jesus said, Ego eimi. Again, we've seen this, it's often a theophany when Jesus says, Ego eimi, I am. Kai obsessed there, ton huion tu anthropu, and you will see, from Horao, the Son of Man, ek dexion kathermenon, seated on the right hand, tes dunameos, of power, kai erikomenon, and coming, metato nephalon tu uranu, with the clouds of heaven. So we have seen clouds before. They're always in this context. The Transfiguration, we saw clouds. Again, it's a theophany. It's very, very clear. I am he, and you will see the Son of Man seated on the right hand of power and coming with clouds of heaven. Hodearcherus diarexas tus kitonas autu lege. And the high priest, having torn his garments, says, I never know what garments each of these are, but his tunic, I think, is his clothes, says, Ti etikrean ekomen marturon. Why do we have need further? Why do we have any further need of witnesses? Yes, I mean, the fact that Jesus makes this statement in front of the Sanhedrin makes all of those witnesses moot. Nothing else was required beyond this. Accusate tes blasphemias. You heard the blasphemy. Te humin finetai. How? What do you think? What does it seem to you? We haven't seen this, but doke is also used in this context. We haven't seen it like that. What do you think? What do you decide? How does it seem to you? Hoide pantes katekrenan auton enoken enai, and they all condemned him as Enokos as guilty. Sorry, enokon enai thanatu, to be guilty of death or deserving of death. Yeah. Kai erxanto tines, and some began emptuein, to spit autoi, kai perikaluptain autu to prosopon, again to cover around his face. Perhaps they put a sheet round his face. Kai kolophisdein auton, and to strike him. I've never seen that word before. It actually looks a little bit like kephalos, which we did see in the sense of a slightly different verb in the similar sense with buffeting. to beat someone on the head. Kai legen autoi, and to say to him, Propher tuson, prophesy. Kai hoi huperitai, hrapismasin, auton elabon, and the helpers or the guards received him with blows. Yes, hrapisma, to do with slaps. Okay, slaps or buffets, whatever. Okay, so he's handed over to the we think guards, huperitai. Does this actually look like the members of the Sanhedrin are physically assaulting Jesus? It's not clear that that's the case, but Kai ontos hot to Petru, and with Peter being kato below, ente aule in the courtyard, erketai mia ton paidiskon to Archeros. There comes one of the slave girls. Yes, we wouldn't know it's a slave girl, but this is feminine. So one of the slave girls of the high priest. Again, we had an upper room before, and Jesus is also judged in an upper room. Peter's below. Whether that means very much, perhaps not. Peter was below in the courtyard. Servant girl. Kai edusa ton petron therminomenon, and seeing Peter warming himself, often middle means it has this reflexive meaning, warming himself. Emblepsasa autoi lege. Having looked at him, having looked perhaps directly at him, perhaps that's the meaning of N here, she says, Kai su meta tu Nazarenu esta tu Jesu. It's only the third time we've seen this Jesus of Nazareth. You too were, Esther, with the Nazarene Jesus. You also were with the Nazarene Jesus. Hode ernesato legon, this word areneto, deny, the opposite of to confess the truth, deny the truth. And he denied it, saying, Ute oida ute epistemai su te leges. I do not know and I do not understand what you are saying. Kai exelthen exo eis to pro aulion. And he went outside into the fore courtyard. Kai alector ephonersen, and the cock crowed. So we've got this change of location for Peter. Whether that's significant, I wouldn't like to say. But he was right inside in the courtyard, but not inside the building where Jesus is upstairs. And now he's in the forecourt. Kai her paidisker, and the servant girl, Idusa, auton, seeing him, erxato palin legain, began to say again, tois parestosin, to those who are standing by, hoti, hutos exauton estin. This man is one of them. Hode palin erinator, but he, Peter, again denied. Kai metamikron, and after a short time, palin hoi paristotes elegon toi petroi. The bystanders again were saying to Peter, Aleathos, truly, exauton a, you are one of them. Kai gar Galileos a, kai herlalia su homoiasde. For you are a Galilean, and your speech, herlalia, su homoiasde, resembles, here we often use betray, but resembles, yes, your speech is distinct, perhaps. I think this might be a little pun here. Kai gar Galileos, kai herlaliasu homoiasde. Galileos and herlalia su. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Lalia speaking. The way you speak. Yes, laleo often has more to do with the kind of physical, noisy babble of speech than lego. Hodieric setor, and he began, anathematisdain, we think, to curse on himself. Yeah. Anathema, let it be cursed. But it doesn't have to be that. Kai omnunai, and to swear, hoti, uk oida ton anthropon tuton hon legate. I do not know this man whom you are speaking of. Yes, so to take an oath, to invoke, if I'm lying, let me be, etc., etc., etc. I think. So when he denies. Caiuthus extuteru elector ephonesem, and immediately, for the second time, the cock crowed. Kai anemnesther ho Petros, and Peter remembered tohrema, the saying, Hose penautoi ho Jesus, which Jesus said to him, Hoti, prin electora phonesai dis. Before the cock crows twice, tris me aparnese, 3 times you will deny me. Kai epibalo neklaien. And he fell down and was crying. Yeah. I think there is a comparison between what's happening to Jesus in the building and what's happening to Peter outside the building. They are both in the time of trial, and Peter fails the test and denies, and Jesus, having kept silence, when he's categorically asked, "Are you the Christ?" he replies, "I am." So he confesses, and I think those two are closely paralleled. I think I'll stop there.